Hello, Algebra 2 students. This is Mr. Myers, and I want to go over problem number 16 from Friday's homework. They ask us to find the solutions to this quadratic equation by using the quadratic equation. The quadratic formula. I want to refresh your memory that the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, you need to remember a few of the uh, coefficients that we talked about. First of all, the coefficient in front of the coefficient in front of x squared is your a value. Understand that a value sometimes is 1. Actually, oftentimes is 1. If there's nothing there, it's 1. If there's a number in front, that will be your a value. Now, your b value is the coefficient in front of x. It's the whole thing. So if there's a negative or a minus sign, it's minus, the b is minus 10 in this case. And then c is your constant. And once again, if there was a minus sign, that would be a negative 25. This is critical when using the quadratic formula. Okay, now that we have identified our a, b, and c, and we have the formula up above, let's go ahead and insert and find out what our x values will be when the equation is equal to 0. I want to remind you the quadratic formula tells us what x values will make the equation, the whole equation, equal to 0. So here we go. First of all, our b is negative 10. Notice we have a minus 10. So this will turn into a positive 10. But I always like to write it in parentheses to make sure I've got the whole thing and put the minus sign out front. Plus or minus, which means we are going to add the discriminant, which is the number underneath the radical sign, and we're also going to subtract it. And we want the square root of b squared, which is negative 10 squared, minus 4 times a is 1, and c is positive 25. All divided by 2 times 1. Okay, now that we have that, this becomes positive 10. This is plus or minus the square root of 100. 10 squared is 100. Minus 100. All over 2. Notice that our discriminant, the number underneath the radical sign, is 100 minus 100, which is 0. So that will give us 10 over 2, which is 5. So when x equals 5, the whole equation is equal to 0. I want to point out a few things right now. First of all, the vertex has to be on the x-axis because the answer is x equals 5. There is no plus or minus because the discriminant was 0. Secondly, I want to point out that that our solution is going to be 5 comma 0. And that is our vertex because we only have 1 point. I hope that helps to show you how to use the quadratic formula. And I'm going to leave you with this. If you have 0 answers, in other words, the discriminant is a negative number and you cannot take the square root of a negative number, you have no real solutions. You will have complex number solutions, but no real solutions. In this case, we ended up with one solution, which means the discriminant was equal to 0. And I'm going to use big D equals 0. For discriminant, I'll use big D is equal to the square root of a negative number. And our final possibility is we have 2 solutions. I'm running out of space there. And that's when your discriminant is a positive number. So, just to review real quickly, when you're looking at the discriminant, the part that's underneath the radical sign, if you end up with a negative number. You have zero solutions. There are no real solutions. You'll have a complex number solution, which means you have an imaginary I. If the discriminant is zero, as in this case, you have one solution, and the vertex will be on the x-axis. And then finally, in many cases, if not most cases, you'll have two solutions. You'll have the plus or minus because we have a plus or minus sign in front of the discriminant, and we have a real number solution or a positive value underneath the radical sign. I hope that helps you. I look forward to seeing you in class, and have a good day.